You are sacred. You have offered the world sacredness. You are sacredness. And I invite you to refuse to forget that for too long. You in your essence, as love, as a soul, as a part of life, you are never behind. You are not behind. You are divine. And it's not just that you are happening in divine timing. Baby, you are divine timing. All the intelligence of life has led you to this precise moment. And so the audacity to believe it should be otherwise. Hello, divine and magical being. I am so excited to be back with you in the Soul Salon. And today I would love to come home to love with you. I feel this is a time where many people are feeling behind. If you are like me and you're feeling behind on your goals or on actions you wish you had taken this year or this month or these past 3 months, if you're feeling like you are not doing enough, that you wish you were doing more, and you see these other people online and offline and they're creating all of these things and you're feeling like, I wish I was doing that. And it feels like there's never enough time and you feel like you're constantly not doing enough, that you could be doing more. And you're so aware of and reminded by, especially on social media, but also perhaps in conversations you're having or thoughts you're having, podcasts you're listening to, around how you could be doing more. And why can't you just push yourself to do a little bit more? And even though you have that voice in your consciousness that says, no, this is capitalism speaking, this is supremacy speaking to me, I am not my productivity, I'm a human being, not a human doing. Sometimes it feels like the voice of the culture is just so much louder than that inner voice of resistance. So I want to feel into the sense of feeling behind and like you're not doing enough. So what I invite you into is a sacred shift, is what I'm going to call it. This sacred shift has 3 steps. So I'm going to walk you through it. First, I invite you to call to heart something that you find completely sacred. You would never question the sacredness of that person, that energy, that place. So before I give you some examples from me, I want to just give your consciousness a couple of seconds to think about that. What is sacred to you in a way that is unquestionable? And so I invite you to comment what brings you into your sacredness. What reminds you? What brings you home to love? So for some of you, it may be someone in your life who you love or who loves you. It could be the earth itself is what you find sacred. The trees or the oceans, the rivers, the water itself, water as life. Maybe you find sacredness in the cells breathing and keeping you alive, in the life living and breathing through you and expanding through you. Perhaps you find sacredness in love itself, not even in a love that you've experienced, but the actual possibility and energy of love on earth and how it's able to transcend and to heal and enrich all of us. Perhaps your sacredness is in your spirituality, in your God or your sense of the cosmos or something divine, like that is the most sacred thing to you. And it doesn't have to be the most sacred thing. We're just thinking of different aspects of our existence that we can connect to as sacred. Maybe you find sacredness in your inner child, like your inner child you just find so sacred. You're like, oh, if you were on my lap right now, I would just hug you and tell you just as you are so loved and you are love and you are absolutely divine and precious and I love you so much. And you don't know this, but I'm going to spend my whole life trying to find more and more ways to deeply love and accept and treasure you and treasure your magnificence. I have a plant in my apartment and it was dying. And it was this really heartbreaking experience of me not being able to support life. Someone who feels like I'm here to help life expand, as you are as well. I felt like I wasn't able to support this life. And I had a friend of mine help me bring the plant back to life. And it was this incredible experience watching how life can truly heal with the right support and sunlight and water and nutrients. So that is sacred. That there was something in that plant fighting to stay alive. and to be supported. It's not just giving help, but being willing to receive that help. Being receptive is very sacred as well. The feminine could be sacred to you. Sensuality could be sacred to you. Creativity could be. So something very sacred to me as well is my mother's love for me. So I'm giving examples to stir your heart, your consciousness onto this vibration of sacredness. So now I invite you to ask yourself, having in heart all of the sacredness that we've built up together in your heart, would you ever classify any of the things that you've just named as being behind? Would you ever say to that sacred aspect, you're not doing enough? Maybe it's your friend's love for you. You're behind on that love. Maybe it's the tree stretching towards the sun. You're behind. Perhaps it's music that you find sacred. And imagine telling the frequency, the energy of music itself, you're actually behind. Did you know that you're not doing enough? The sunlight, so sacred, the waters, the trees, the rivers. You are not doing enough. So you can feel into this mismatch when you have something sacred and then you have the idea that something is not being productive or fast or efficient enough. And what we feel in that mismatch is our own alienation. That these systems of capitalism, of white supremacy, of racism, sexism, imperialism, everything, all of these systems, and also a world rooted in the imagination shaped by those systems. That's also super important. That what that imagination and that kind of consciousness robs us from is our inherent sacredness. Colonialism, anti-blackness, colorism, racism of all kinds, oppression against indigenous peoples, patriarchy, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, and more than I could possibly name. Each of these systems will rob each group from being able to see themselves as sacred. And this is why I believe that politics and any sort of political liberation requires spiritual liberation. Because once you're able to recognize the sacredness of all life, then hierarchical systems, oppression, dehumanization, the degradation of life becomes impossible if you're deeply committed to a spiritual understanding of life. And yet within the confines of these imaginations, sacredness is the last concern of the system. And the irony is, when you demean another group of people, you also demean your own sacredness. You also deny your own sacredness when you inflict this kind of pain and trauma on a group of people. And you can feel into why, because of course they wouldn't want you to feel sacred. Of course, in a system where you're being forced into a certain role or a certain way of being, robbing your sacredness from you, when you are not treated with sacredness, you think that's just what you deserve. Of course you were mistreated in that way. Of course you feel like you're not doing enough. Of course you don't feel like enough. In a logic like that, in a system like that. So what I feel into is the sense that just as those sacred aspects could never be behind, you in your essence, as love, as a soul, as a being, as a part of life, you can't be separated from life, from the cosmos, from the universe. And as part of that inherent sacredness, you are never behind. It's only when the logic superimposed on you is deeply alienating you from that inner divinity and inner sacredness, and also from the divinity and sacredness of the collective. It's in that kind of propaganda, that kind of influence, that we then internalize the message that we're not doing enough, that we're not producing enough, that we're behind on our goals, that it's 2024 and it's November already and we haven't even, you know what I'm saying? And I think the idea that as people living in this time, that the day is coming where we're going to feel like we're doing enough, that day won't happen to us. We need to happen to it. So with that in heart, each time you feel like you're not doing enough, I invite you to tap into that feeling of sacredness. Feel the oceans flowing through your heart and just think to yourself, I am that. Feel the love that feels so precious and sacred to you and feel, I am that. Feel the sunshine on your skin, or that has been. The magic that you've lived and that's lived you. And recall that that place of knowing, of being in touch with love, it's always available to you. You, my love, you have this gift. You have the consciousness of the world that could be, as well as the world that is. And so you know there's a world in which we don't have to feel this way. We don't have to live a life where we feel behind. For me, love integrates my doing and my being. Because love is generous. Love wants to give. And so if I am feeling really rooted in love, I feel that it is from that love can then overflow from me. And that then allows me to create the things I feel called to create, but not from a place of not doing enough or being behind, because love is never behind. So even this message, love doesn't think, oh, has this been said before? Love thinks, does this need to be said again? So my loves, I'm feeling grateful for you and the possibility of you, because without you, I wouldn't have felt called enough to share this. Because it's only through believing in the possibility of you that I can make anything. So you have made this offering as much as I have. And so I'm very, very grateful to be on this journey with you. You are not behind. You are divine. And it's not just that you are happening in divine timing. Baby, you are divine timing. Did you feel that? Did my noises affect your ability to feel that? I'm sorry. But you are not only happening in divine timing, you are divine timing. All the intelligence of life has led you to this precise moment. And so the audacity to believe it should be otherwise. And trust me, I'm also audacious in that way. We could use audacity in other areas of our life, but we'll talk about that another day. But here you are. And sometimes when we feel behind, when we feel like we're not doing enough, we really minimize, erase that in every given moment, we're always just trying to do our best. We're always just trying to take the next step. And then we look back and we think 11 months have passed and I haven't even, but what about what you did? What about what you did do? What about the ways you did respond to the life you were living? The responsibilities you did have? What about honoring the fact that if you could go back to each of those moments and see like a movie of yourself, you would be able to hold with compassion why you chose the actions you chose and why you neglected the actions you neglected. And that this is a part of life. We all feel it. And so you are not alone. And if you are feeling behind in any way or like it's too late, I encourage you to listen to my soul session. You haven't missed the train misses you. The video on YouTube is available here, and I will link to it in the show notes wherever you are watching or listening. I'm so grateful for you being here with me in the Soul Salon. I hope you enjoyed today's soul session. I'm thinking of you, I'm sending you love, and I'm holding the sacredness of your being. That the sacredness that you find in any aspect of your reality, remember, is a mirror. You are that. It is a reflection of you. It is a part of you. It is you. It's waiting for you to claim as part of your essence. You are sacred. You have offered the world sacredness. You are sacredness. You've embodied sacredness. And I invite you to refuse to forget that for too long. Come home to that sacredness. When you're saying, but I said I would do this, I broke my streak on that, I'm letting myself down, I'm disappointing myself. I invite you to come home to that sense of sacredness, of love that is your essence. I love you so much, and I will see you on the next soul session. I love you. Bye. My darling, my love, my soul sibling, thank you for stepping into the soul salon. If you are still hearing or watching this, we are soul siblings. We are resonating on the same frequency. And so something you may struggle with, that I struggle with, is the fear of being seen. You know that visibility is involved in you living your creative purpose and being in your power, serving the collective through your gifts, through your magic, through your medicine. In order to do that, you know you need to be more seen than you are allowing yourself to be right now. I have a gift just for you, heart made for us on this frequency, and it is a free ebook called the Soulful Visibility Guide. That is soulful visibility. Like, we don't just want to be seen, we want to be felt, we want to be heard, we want to move and be moved. So I do have a free gift for you, and all you need to do is go to my website, ayandastood.com, and there you will be able to input your email address and receive this directly to your inbox. This is such a juicy and delicious guide, and I change the free offering every few months, so get it while you can. All the links are in the show notes. So thank you so much. I love you, and I will see you on the next soul session. Okay, I love you. Bye.